But first, it couldn't get any simpler. All the financial advice you really need might just fit on a 4x6 index card. And in the next 8 minutes, our economics correspondent Paul Solman will fill you in and let you know what the secret is. It's part of our weekly Making Sense report, which airs every Thursday on the NewsHour.
Use Fidelity's analytics to spot trends, gain insights, and figure out what you want to do next.
On TV, financial advice abounds, but the best advice is ignore it.
Hi, Paul, come on in.
So says University of Chicago health policy professor Harold Pollack, who lives in Flossmoor, Illinois, 20 miles from campus. About personal finance, until recently, he knew squat.
I sort of figured it would all work out, and I didn't have to think about it too much, and so I didn't.
Until, that is, he had to when in 2003 his mother-in-law died suddenly, leaving her disabled son in the Pollack's hands.
The expenses of caring for someone who is quite disabled, are very frightening. When Vincent moved into our home, he was about 340 pounds, and we needed to get furniture that would fit him. One time we had to go out and just buy a recliner, and it was something like $900.
And there were hospitalizations, medical bills. Pollack needed advice, so he started reading and had what he calls an epiphany.
All the financial experts actually had a pretty simple set of things that they suggested that you do, and basically all of them would say tune out all the other stuff.
Like the TV ads. So to be useful to others, Pollack started chronicling his financial education in a blog, and in 2013 interviewed financial self-help writer Helene Olin over Skype. At one point he said offhandedly,
for the most part, the really good advice can fit on a 3x5 index card and is available for free in the library.
This time around, Helene Olin joined virtually once again, stuck at home with the flu.
People began to write to Harold and asked him to do an index card.
So Pollack put 10 items on an index card, took a snapshot, and posted it online. It promptly went viral, touted on the Washington Post's Wonk blog, on websites Boing Boing and Lifehacker. And thus was born Pollack and Olin's short new book, The Index Card, A Few Simple Rules.
And that just seemed much more doable to a lot of people.
So what's on the card? Rule 1, strive to save 10 to 20% of your income, which means slashing your spending on what you don't much care about.
If you look down here, we got some nice rust developing here. There are other things that I do spend money on. I go on vacations, I do other things. Take my wife to Bruce Springsteen. But I try to spend my money on the things that I enjoy, and I really just am apathetic about my car, so I shouldn't spend any money on it.
It's blistering over here.
Yeah.
Though Rule 1 is easier advised than accomplished, Helene Olin acknowledges.
I mean, how on earth are you supposed to save between 10 and 20% of your income if you're making $20,000 a year? And the answer is you probably won't. My position is that everybody is helped, if at all possible, to just even get a little bit of money aside.
Rule 2, pay your credit card balance in full every month. Obvious, yet less than a third of Americans follow this rule.
One of the great things that you can do is try to pay cash more often for stuff.
And if you must use credit cards,
figure out the one that has the highest interest rate and stop using that one and pay off as much as you can on that credit card. Pay the minimum on all your other credit cards. Don't ever avoid a credit card payment.
3, max out your 401k and other tax-advantaged savings accounts. To this day, only 12% of Americans do this. When Pollack started working, he wasn't one of them.
It was too much trouble, it was boring, it was something that was really far off in the future, and the stock market was like 1/10 of what it is right now. And boy, I wish I could have that back.
Rule 4, never buy or sell individual stocks, because less than 1% of us have the ability to consistently outperform the market.
It turns out that the individual people are not good at picking winners and losers in the stock market, and financial professionals aren't that great at picking winners and losers either.
No matter what they tell you.
Other people want to make friends. I'm just trying to make you some money.
According to Pollack, a PBS show from the 70s and 80s bears some responsibility for our faith in stock picking.
Good evening, I'm Louis Rukeyser. This is Wall Street Week.
The show returned to TV on Fox Business News last month.
They were pushing people away from what they should be thinking about, which is, I'm not going to be able to pick which stocks are good. I shouldn't even try to do that. And what I really care about is what the stock market is going to be in 20 or 30 years, not what it's going to be next year.
Or next week, or tomorrow. So, Rule 5, buy inexpensive, well-diversified mutual funds and exchange-traded funds. Index funds, that is, and hold them.
Many, many people believe that their financial advisor is free.
Rule 6 is related to 5, but it's more subtle. Insist your investment advisor, if you have one, commits to a fiduciary standard, putting the client first, instead of the suitability standard, which requires no such commitment. To illustrate, Pollock posted a video with cakes.
Thanks for sharing your cake, Jim. It was suitable. From now on, I'll keep my cake for myself. That's fiduciary.
If you put your money into sensible index funds and save for your retirement and did everything properly, you'd end up with this whole cake. Mm-hmm. If you invested in basically the same types of investments, but the sorts of things that people recommend on the suitability standard, which have higher fees, you would end up with less cake. And there'd be this slice missing, which could be significant.
That missing slice costs American investors about $17 billion a year in fees, says Pollock. And just last week, the Obama administration proposed a new rule that would hold all investment advisors to this higher standard. Okay, let's zip through to the end. Rule 7, buy a home only when you're financially ready.
You can stop going to Starbucks. You can buy a cheaper car the next time around. You can't do much about your 30-year mortgage. You're kind of stuck with that. So it is important that in these big things that you are appropriately modest in what you can afford.
8, insurance. Make sure you're protected.
Get the largest deductible that you can. You want your insurance for the $50,000 problem, not for the $500 problem. And you can save yourself a lot of money if you get a higher deductible on your homeowners and your auto insurance.
9, the most controversial on the card, do what you can to support the social safety net.
To me, it's incredibly important to appreciate that we all have to protect each other against some of the risks in life that would just crush any one of us if we had to face it alone. And when Vincent moved into our house, we would have absolutely been bankrupted without Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security and all the programs that helped our family.
And finally, 10, remember the index card.
The idea is you have to be methodical and stick to this. And the advice that we give is good, but it's the execution that's really going to matter.
For the PBS NewsHour, this is Paul Salman, an economics correspondent for 39 years now, here to tell you that if Harold Pollock and Helene Olin have it wrong, I've learned nothing.
Very nice meeting you.
Over all this time.